Okay, everyone. My name is Amanda Palmer from Amanda Palmer Photography. I've posted a few pictures recently where I use some of the Storyville actions. And so I wanted to show you the way I edit so that you can see some alternative ways to use those actions if you wanted to try them. Okay, so first I always start in Lightroom. So you open your image that you want to edit. And then I'm going to just paste down because I usually like just kind of do my own tweaks. So I'll work on um, the white balance here. I usually add like some exposure if I need to. I usually add about 15 in contrast right here. Then I work with the highlights and shadows if I need. I like to take down the black a little bit, just add a little contrast as well, days as well. I'm not sure how to pronounce that one. Add some vibrance. So this is our kind of like some of the basic tweaks that I do. I do some on the colors as well. Like if you want your greens to be a little different, you can tweak the yellow and the greens as well. And I will do that. Anyway, I like vibrant colors, so I just kind of add a little bit in there as well. And then something I really like to use is split toning. If you don't know what that is, I really recommend you look it up on YouTube. Usually it really helps with skin tones. Just to give you an idea, I'll show you the before and after, just like even without doing anything else. So this was like before I did it, and then with using it, that just changes the color on the skin. So all that stuff just really helps. Okay, once I do this, I also usually add some sharpening in there as well. So you'll see a lot of the tweaks that I do with the actions from Storyville are due to the fact that I already tweak Lightroom quite a bit. But that gives you an idea of some of the tweaks that I do, like here in sharpening, noise, and that's about it. I never really touch the rest, so that's about what I do. Okay, and then open it. So I did some cropping on there as well. Um, Usually I would just kind of center. I mean, whatever you want to do. Here we go. So sorry, kind of OCD with this. I like it better there. Okay, so now I'm gonna go and edit it into Photoshop. All right, there you go. All right, so this is my image with the Lightroom adjustment, obviously. So I'll show you some of the actions that I use. I organize all my actions here in folders. I don't know how you guys do it, but that's like that. So I usually start with the Storyville smoothing and sharpening, but I never leave it to the max. Part of that is obviously I've added some sharpening in Lightroom as well, so I don't need as much. And then I'll lower that to 50%. I'll do opacity right down here. I don't know if you can see my arrows when I move, but so I move it to 50% and then I go to sharpening. You just play that one as well. And I'll also reduce that to 50% because obviously it's too strong right now. There you go. It looks still a little sharper than it really is. So when you zoom in, you can see. Sometime with Photoshop, you might have a weird view. Okay, and then I flatten the image. And then I'll go to the ones I like to use. So I'll use some of the retouch later, like for skin smoothing, but I like using the image base right here. So I'm going to play that action. But you're going to see it's going to be way too saturated. So that's why I change things quite a bit. And a lot of that has to do with what I do in Lightroom. I'm not sure if I took a completely raw image, what would happen, but I'll take the opacity of the brighten up. That's the last section to 0. And then I'll go to contrast and I'll usually change that to 10 because I do like some contrast. Sometimes I'll take some down on Lightroom afterwards if I need to, um, or on Photoshop. And then darken edges, I'll usually lower that to 10 as well. And then color dazzle. So I actually like increasing that. I think it looks pretty when there's more colors. I'm just kind of a color person. But you see it like the skin on my husband and on me are a little red. Yeah, this is a picture of my family, by the way, that was taken by a senior that I asked to take some family photos for us. His name is Trevor, and he's amazing. So I'm so glad he did this. Okay, so here, as you can see, I'm taking a brush, a soft brush. So this is all the way down, the hardness all the way down. And I'm switching it to black because I want to take off from my mask some of that extra dazzle on our skin. And then I change the opacity to 30% up there. And then I'm just going to paint that, or I guess unpaint it on on our faces. I'm actually going to take a little bit more on my neck. If you see my final product, I've actually like taken out the color on my neck because I had kind of a sunburn that day on my neck. So I've worked a little bit more on that, but I don't think I'm going to do that for the tutorial because that's just a lot for not super important. All right, so I'm taking some off of our skin just to kind of make it a little less red everywhere. There you go. So before and after here, so you can see like there's a lot more colors. So when you guys ask me where I get all the colors, that's from this Color Dazzle and the contrast and just that image base one helps. And then I'm gonna flatten that. If you don't know how to do that, Control Shift E does it. You can also go to flatten image somewhere in there. Okay, and then I like also, so I personally have my own like teeth whitening and eye sharpening that I've created. So if I wanted to, I could go in and like whiten teeth as well, which I actually haven't done in my family pictures because I didn't feel like we really needed it. Something I do like to do though is the skin smoothing. So since we're on Storyville, I'm going to show you some of that. I don't do it a ton. I actually just leave it at 30% and sometimes I'll even take it out. She recommends putting it at 35. I usually just leave it at 30. That's plenty for me. So for skin smoothing, I'm going to go back to white and also on my soft brush. And then I'll just kind of paint it where I want it. Just to soften everybody's skin a little bit. Don't do it too much on the nose because I like it's still looking like natural, but there we go. I'll take it on their skin. Hers. Not sure if you can even see what I'm painting, but I'm painting our skin. Then my legs. This is me, guys, right there. Hold on one second. Oops, I lost my brush. There you go. I paint this as well. Alright, there we go. Arms. Alright, so that gives you an idea of what the image looked like with just a couple actions right there. Alright, and then I'm going to flatten this. Then I wanted to show you also if you wanted to add some light. So let me go back here to my Storyville. Here. Okay, so I saved them all like this and I put the overlay a little bigger so I can find it more easily. And there's the light pack. So if some of you wanted to see some of the lights that come with Storyville Light Pack, that's what it came with. So there's some light rays and sun. I personally always use this one. I could probably use some of the light rays, but I just haven't yet. So this is what I use. I'll just put it here. And as Heather always say to do, so basically you want to put it under screen right here. And then, you know, you can tone it down if it's too bright, if it's too strong, you can just lower the opacity. A lot of time I'll put it at like 90%. Then you can do a filter, so you'll go to blur and Gaussian blur. I personally leave it at like 60% because that's what works for me. Otherwise, if it's too low, you can still see the lines down here. So just make sure you don't have the lines, however hard you put it. I usually around 60. I don't usually have the lines too bad or at all. It blends better. Okay, so it's blended pretty well. And then I can just kind of put it wherever I want. You can make it bigger, lower, but this isn't the best image to use this. You know, you could probably put it somewhere else. I like putting it where the sun actually comes in, but you know, lifetime if it's on green, it's just a little bit prettier, but you could put it on here. Doesn't really matter. I just like having it to kind of brighten the light a little bit sometimes. So there we go. And I'll flatten it. Okay, and then it's basically what I would do right there. So that's your image right there. So I'm going to save that. But then I also usually tweak again on Lightroom a little bit. So because I don't know, I just like my images to be exactly how I want them. So I keep tweaking until I get there. So here I actually copied my tweak to this image. So I could just add it here. So I'm going to sync it. All right, so you can see what I did. So on this one, I basically changed the exposure a little bit. So, there you go. So I changed the exposure a little bit again, and that's basically my final image right there. So I'll show you the before just so you can compare. Let me reset this. So that's my before, and that's the after. And voila.